The text message came at exactly 2:47 p.m. on a Saturday, 17 minutes after my son's birthday party was supposed to start. "Hey Cashin, running late, be there soon, party popper." It was from my sister, Reverie. I stared at my phone, standing in our backyard surrounded by balloon arches, a custom superhero-themed cake, a bouncy castle, and enough decorations to rival a theme park. My 7-year-old son, Alaric, stood next to me in his new superhero costume, his face pressed against the fence, watching the driveway for cars that weren't coming. "When is Grandma getting here?" he asked for the 4th time in 10 minutes. "Soon, buddy," I lied, feeling my stomach twist into knots. My wife, Solange, emerged from the house carrying a tray of juice boxes, her smile strained. "Any updates?" she asked quietly. I shook my head. "Reverie says they're running late." They being my entire family. My mother, Cordelia, my father, Branston, my sister, Reverie, and her husband, Kelton, my brother, Dashwood, and his wife, Tempest, and their collective 6 children, Alaric's cousins, who he'd been talking about nonstop for 3 weeks. We'd sent the invitations 6 weeks in advance. We'd confirmed attendance 3 times. Everyone had RSVP'd YES. My mother had even offered to bring her famous fruit punch. At 3:15 p.m., 30 minutes past party time, only 4 people had arrived. Alaric's 3 friends from school and one of their parents, a kind woman named Bellamy who stayed to help supervise. "Maybe we should start the games," Solange suggested gently, watching Alaric's shoulders slump lower with each passing minute. "Yeah," I said, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. "Yeah, let's do that." We played pin the cape on the superhero. We did the scavenger hunt. We had the kids run through the bouncy castle. But Alaric kept glancing at the driveway, kept asking when his cousins were coming, kept saving the good prizes from the games for them. At 4:30 p.m., I called my mother, straight to voicemail. I called Reverie, voicemail. I called Dashwood, voicemail. By 5:00 p.m., when it was time to cut the cake, Alaric was crying. Not the loud, dramatic tears of a tantrum, but the quiet, confused tears of a child who couldn't understand why the people who said they loved him hadn't shown up. "Did I do something wrong, Dad?" he asked, his voice small. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. "No, buddy," I said, kneeling down to his level. "You didn't do anything wrong, not one single thing." Solange cut the cake with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. We sang Happy Birthday. Alaric blew out his candles while his 3 school friends cheered and Bellamy took photos. But the party that was supposed to host 15 people felt hollow and wrong with only 6 of us there. After everyone left and Alaric was in bed, still in his superhero costume because he'd refused to take it off, I sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone. The catering bill sat next to me, $847 for food that barely got touched. The entertainment package, $450 for the bouncy castle and face painter who'd spent most of her time awkwardly waiting around. The custom cake, $215. The decorations, party favors, and gifts, another $380. Nearly $2,000, spent on a party that my entire family had ghosted without explanation. At 9:47 p.m., my phone finally buzzed. A text from my mother. "Sorry we couldn't make it today. Something came up. We'll catch up with Alaric another time." That was it. No detailed explanation. No apology to Alaric, just something came up. I was typing a response when another text came through, this one from Reverie. "Mom said to tell you we had a family emergency. Hope the party was fun." A family emergency that apparently didn't warrant a single phone call or text until 6 hours after it caused them to miss my son's birthday party. I put down my phone and went to check on Alaric. He was asleep, finally, his face still showing tear tracks. On his nightstand was the special Cousin Time goodie bag he'd made, filled with candy and small toys he'd picked out specifically for his cousins. I'd never felt rage quite like what burned through me in that moment. Sunday morning, I woke up to a group text in the family chat. "Reverie, guys, we need to talk about Aunt Lucinda's birthday party next month. Mom wants to do something big for her 70th. My mother, yes, I'm thinking we rent out the pavilion at Riverside Park, maybe hire a caterer. Dashwood, sounds great, we're in. Tempest, the kids are so excited. They love Great Aunt Lucinda. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in my hand. They were planning a party, chatting cheerfully about celebrations and family gatherings. Less than 24 hours after no-showing my son's birthday without a real explanation. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on, "What was the family emergency yesterday?" The chat went silent for a full minute. Then, "Cordelia, Cashin, let's not get into this in the group chat." Me, "Then call me." I waited. No call came. Instead, Reverie sent a private text. Dad's back was acting up and Mom didn't want to leave him. Then the rest of us didn't think it was right to go without them. You understand, right? I did not, in fact, understand. My father's chronic back pain was a decades-old issue that flared up regularly. It had never stopped them from attending any event before, and even if it had suddenly become a 5-alarm emergency, that still didn't explain why no one called, why no one texted until hours later, why no one thought to mention it beforehand. But most importantly, it didn't explain why they were now acting like nothing had happened. I didn't respond to Reverie's text. Instead, I went to my home office and did what I do best as a forensic accountant. I gathered data. I pulled up our family calendar going back 2 years. I made a spreadsheet. Every family gathering, every birthday party, every holiday celebration. Who attended, who didn't, and most importantly, which events my family consistently prioritized. The pattern was sickeningly clear. In the past 2 years, my family had attended all 6 of my nieces' and nephews' birthday parties, 100% attendance. Both of Reverie's children's school plays. All 3 of Dashwood's children's sports games that conflicted with other family events. My mother's monthly family dinners at her house, which Solange, Alaric, and I were expected to attend. Cordelia and Branston's 40th anniversary party. Events they'd missed or sent only one person to. Alaric's 6th birthday party, only Reverie attended, stayed 20 minutes. Alaric's kindergarten graduation, no one came. Our housewarming party when we bought our new home, Dashwood showed up for 15 minutes. Solange's mother's funeral, no one attended. Alaric's 7th birthday party, complete no-show. I sat back and looked at the data. It was irrefutable. My son was the forgotten grandchild. Solange and I were the overlooked branch of the family tree, and yesterday's no-show wasn't an anomaly, it was the pattern reaching its logical conclusion. I was still staring at the spreadsheet when Solange came into the office. "Alaric wants to know if he can call Grandma," she said quietly. "He wants to tell her about the party." Something in my chest tightened and then snapped. "No," I said. Solange blinked. "What?" "No," I repeated, standing up. "I'm done. We're done. They don't get to ignore our son and then act like everything is fine." "Cass." "They ghosted his birthday party, Saul. His 7th birthday. He cried. He asked me if he did something wrong, and they haven't even properly apologized. They're already planning the next family event like nothing happened." Solange was quiet for a moment, then said, "What are you going to do?" I looked at my spreadsheet, at the cold, hard numbers that proved what I'd been feeling for years. "I'm going to make sure they understand there are consequences." Monday morning, I created a professional invoice using my company's accounting software. I itemized everything. Invoice 1. To * Cordelia and Branston Thorne. From * Cashin Thorne. Re * no-show fee for Alaric Thorne's 7th birthday celebration. Catering for 8 family members, wasted, $564. Bouncy castle and entertainment, unused, $450. Custom cake, excess, $143. Party favors for 6 cousins, unused, $87. Emotional distress to minor child, priceless. Total due, $1,244. Payment terms, due upon receipt. Late fee, $50 per day after 30 days. I made similar invoices for Reverie and Kelton, $496, and Dashwood and Tempest, $628, dividing the costs based on how many people from each household had been expected. Then I did something perhaps more petty, but infinitely more satisfying. I created a separate document. Notice of service termination. To * extended Thorne family. From * Cashin, Solange and Alaric Thorne. Effective immediately, the following services are no longer available. * 1. Last-minute babysitting for family events. I'd watched my nieces and nephews dozens of times. 2. Free tax preparation and financial advice. I'd done everyone's taxes for years. 3. Emergency loans. I'd lent my siblings thousands over the years. 4. Holiday hosting. We'd hosted Thanksgiving twice. 5. Tech support. I was everyone's IT department. 6. Moving assistance. I'd helped everyone in the family move at least once. * reason for termination. * consistent failure to provide reciprocal support, culminating in the complete no-show at a child's birthday party with no adequate explanation or apology. Restoration of services. * not available at this time. I emailed all of it. Invoices, service termination notice, and a cover letter that laid out exactly how their actions had affected Alaric. Then I waited. The response was immediate and explosive. My phone started ringing at 10:23 a.m. My mother. I declined the call. 30 seconds later, Reverie called, declined. Then Dashwood, declined. The group chat erupted. Cordelia, Cashin, what is this? Is this a joke? Reverie, are you seriously invoicing us for a birthday party? Dashwood, this is insane. You need to calm down. Branston, son, I think you're overreacting. I typed one response. I'm not overreacting. I'm setting boundaries. You all agreed to attend an event, didn't show up, barely apologized, and have shown no understanding of how your actions affected your grandson-nephew. These invoices represent actual money spent on food and entertainment that went to waste because you couldn't be bothered to show up or even call with a real explanation. Cordelia, we had an emergency. Me, Dad's back pain that he's had for 20 years. That prevented all 8 of you from attending or even calling until 6 hours later. Try again. Reverie, you can't charge us for a party we didn't attend. Me, watch me. You RSVP'd YES. You confirmed 3 times. In the business world, that's a contract. You breached it. Tempest, this is family, not business. Me, exactly. Family should be held to an even higher standard. But you've all made it clear that my son doesn't matter as much as your own kids. So I'm treating this like business, since you clearly don't want to treat it like family. The chat exploded with outrage. I muted it and went back to work. At lunch, my mother called from my father's phone, probably thinking I wouldn't recognize the number. I answered on speaker so Solange could hear. Cashin, this has gone far enough, my mother said, her voice tight. You need to delete those ridiculous invoices and apologize to everyone. I need to apologize, I asked. For what exactly? For this absurd display, sending invoices to family. It's disrespectful and hurtful. You want to talk about disrespectful and hurtful? My voice was rising despite my efforts to stay calm. Let's talk about how you all made a 7-year-old boy cry on his birthday. Let's talk about how he kept asking if he did something wrong. Let's talk about how he made goodie bags for his cousins that are still sitting unopened in his room. Cashin. No, Mom, I'm talking now. For years, I've watched you prioritize Reverie's kids and Dashwood's kids over Alaric. Every event, every holiday, every family gathering. Alaric gets leftovers of your attention, and Saturday was the final straw. That's not true. It is true. I have the data to prove it. 2 years of family events, attendance records, time spent with each grandchild. Want me to send you the spreadsheet? There was silence on the other end. "We had an emergency," my mother finally said, but her voice was weaker now. "Then you should have called. You should have explained. You should have rescheduled. You should have sent at least one person. You should have done literally anything except ignore us until 6 hours later with a vague text message." "I don't know what you want from us," my mother said. "I want you to acknowledge that you hurt your grandson. I want a real apology to Alaric, not to me. I want you to understand that there are consequences for treating people like they don't matter. And until those things happen, the invoices stand and our services are terminated." "You can't be serious about those services." "Completely serious. Dashwood needs his taxes done. He can hire an accountant. Reverie needs a babysitter. She can pay someone. You need tech support. Call Geek Squad. I'm done being taken for granted." I hung up before she could respond. Solange was staring at me with wide eyes. "Wow," she said. "Too much?" I asked. "No," she said slowly. "Not enough. You should have done this years ago." Wednesday afternoon, I was in a meeting when my phone buzzed with a notification. Then another. Then another. During my break, I checked and found 12 missed calls and 37 text messages. My stomach dropped. Had something actually happened? I called my mother back. She answered on the first ring. "It's about time," she snapped. "We need to talk about Aunt Lucinda's party." "What about it?" I asked warily. "We need you to contribute $2,400. I actually laughed. "You're joking." "I am not joking. We're renting the pavilion, hiring a caterer, getting a live band. It's going to be expensive. We're splitting it between the 4 families. Your share is $2,400. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You want me to pay $2,400 for a party for your aunt?" "Our aunt," my mother corrected. "Less than a week after you all no-showed my son's birthday party, after refusing to acknowledge how much that hurt him, and after calling my perfectly reasonable invoices absurd. This is different. This is for Lucinda's 70th birthday. It's important. And Alaric's 7th birthday wasn't. Cashin, don't be difficult. We're all contributing. It's only fair." "Fair," I repeated. "You want to talk about fair? Okay. Here's what's fair. I'll contribute to Aunt Lucinda's party the exact same amount you contributed to Alaric's presence at his party." "What does that even mean?" "It means $0 and 0 cents. Since you contributed 0 presents, 0 effort, and 0 consideration to my son's birthday, I'll match that energy exactly." "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Unless you're ready to pay those invoices and give Alaric a genuine apology, my answer is no." "This is blackmail." "No, this is boundaries. There's a difference. You want my money and my time and my help, but you don't want to extend basic courtesy to my child. That's not how this works anymore. Your father and I have given you everything. And I'm grateful for my childhood, but this isn't about me. This is about Alaric. This is about you being a grandmother, and you're failing at it." I hung up again. 30 minutes later, Reverie called. "Cass, please, this is getting out of hand. Mom is really upset." "Alaric was really upset," I countered. "Where was this concern on Saturday?" "I know we messed up, okay? But you're taking this too far. Invoices, service terminations, now refusing to contribute to Aunt Lucinda's party. You're tearing the family apart." "I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm just refusing to keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. You all have taken Solange, Alaric, and me for granted for years. Saturday was just the breaking point." "So what do you want? You want us to grovel. You want us to pay your ridiculous invoices." "I want you to acknowledge that what you did hurt a child. I want a genuine apology to Alaric, and I want to see actual change in how you treat him going forward. That's it. And if we do that, you'll drop this." "If you do that genuinely, yes. But Reverie, it has to be genuine. Not just words because you want something from me. Actual understanding and actual effort to do better." There was a long pause. Then, "I'll talk to everyone." Thursday evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my entire family standing on my porch. My parents, both my siblings and their spouses, and all 6 of my nieces and nephews. "We want to talk to Alaric," my mother said. I looked at the group skeptically. "About what?" "Please," Reverie said, "just let us talk to him." I called Solange down and explained the situation. She looked as suspicious as I felt, but nodded. We got Alaric from his room, where he'd been building Legos. He came down the stairs and stopped when he saw everyone. His face lit up, then immediately became guarded, a heartbreaking expression on a 7-year-old. "Hi, Grandma," he said quietly. My mother knelt down to his level, and I was shocked to see tears in her eyes. "Alaric, sweetheart, I owe you an apology. We all do." She gestured to the group behind her. "We missed your birthday party, and that was very, very wrong. You were so excited, and we let you down. I'm so sorry." Alaric looked at his feet. "It's okay." "No," my mother said firmly. "It's not okay. It's not okay to make promises and break them. It's not okay to miss important events. And it's especially not okay that we hurt you." One by one, each family member apologized. My father looking genuinely ashamed. Reverie crying, Dashwood awkward but sincere. Even the cousins apologized for not being there. "We brought you something," Tempest said, pulling out a large gift bag. "It's not instead of an apology, it's in addition to one. We hope you like it." Alaric slowly opened the bag and pulled out the limited edition superhero figure he'd been wanting for months, the one that was sold out everywhere. His eyes went wide. "Really?" he asked. "Really," Dashwood said. "And we were hoping you'd let us take you to the superhero exhibit at the Science Museum this weekend. All of us, if you want." I watched my son's face cycle through emotions. Hope, uncertainty, cautious joy. "Can I, Dad?" he asked me. I looked at my family, then at Solange, who gave a small nod. "Yeah, buddy, you can." The smile that broke across Alaric's face was worth everything. After Alaric ran upstairs to play with his new toy and show it to his cousins, my mother approached me. "You were right," she said quietly. "About all of it. I've been playing favorites and I didn't even realize it. Or maybe I did and didn't want to admit it." "Mom." "No, let me finish. When you sent those invoices, I was furious. I thought you were being petty and vindictive. But then I went back and looked at my calendar, at family photos, at how much time I've spent with each grandchild." She wiped her eyes. "You're my son, Cashin. Alaric is my grandson, and I've been treating you both like you're less important than everyone else. That ends now." Reverie stepped forward. "We want to pay the invoices." "What?" "We're paying them, all of them. Not because you demanded it, but because you were right. We made a commitment and we broke it. There should be consequences." She pulled out her phone. "I'm Venmoing you right now." "You don't have to." "Yes, we do," Dashwood interrupted. "And we're paying for a do-over party, next month. Alaric's choice of theme, venue, activities, everything, and we'll all be there." I felt my throat tighten. I wasn't trying to destroy the family. "You weren't destroying it," my father said gruffly. "You were saving it. We needed the wake-up call. We needed to see what we'd become." Over the next hour, we talked, really talked for the first time in years, about patterns, about favoritism, about unspoken resentments and unmet expectations. It wasn't comfortable. There were more tears, more apologies, more acknowledgments of failures. But it was real. Reverie told me about her own feelings of competition with Dashwood for our parents' attention. Dashwood admitted he'd been so focused on his own kids, he'd become oblivious to anyone else's needs. My mother confessed that she'd been harder on me because I was the oldest, expecting me to just understand and be flexible in ways she never demanded of my siblings. None of it excused what they'd done, but it explained it. "About Aunt Lucinda's party," my mother said eventually. "You don't have to contribute. We shouldn't have asked, especially not the way we did." "I'll contribute," I said, "but not $2,400. I'll pay what I would have paid for Alaric's party if everyone had actually shown up. Call it $400. Fair split based on actual attendance patterns." My mother smiled slightly. "The accountant in you never quits, does it?" "Never," I agreed. The do-over party happened 3 weeks later. Alaric chose a dinosaur theme this time. Apparently he'd moved on from superheroes. My family showed up early to help set up. They stayed the entire time. They played games with Alaric and his friends. They helped clean up afterward. And for the first time in years, I watched my son be treated like he mattered just as much as his cousins. That night, as Solange and I cleaned up the last of the decorations, she said, "I'm proud of you, you know." For what? Almost destroying my family relationships. For having the courage to demand better. A lot of people would have just swallowed it, let the resentment build until there was nothing left. You drew a line, you enforced it, and you gave them a chance to step up, which they did. "I sent them invoices," I pointed out. "You sent them a message," she corrected. "The invoices were just the medium, and it worked." I pulled her close. "I still can't believe they actually paid them." "I can," she said, "because you made them understand that this wasn't about money. It was about respect. It was about showing Alaric that he matters." "He does matter," I said firmly. "I know, and now they know too." 6 months later, Aunt Lucinda's 70th birthday party was a massive success. The whole family attended, including Alaric, who spent the evening being doted on by his cousins and grandparents. My relationship with my family wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, still times when old patterns tried to reassert themselves. But the difference was that now, when issues arose, we talked about them. We addressed them. And they never missed one of Alaric's events again. The invoices became a family joke, sort of. Reverie had the one I sent her framed with a little plaque that read, "The day Cass lost his mind," and saved our family. It hung in her home office as a reminder. My mother started keeping a detailed calendar of family events, color-coded by household, to ensure she was distributing her time and attention equally. It was endearingly neurotic. And Alaric, he thrived. He was more confident, more secure, more willing to speak up when he felt left out. Because he'd learned, through watching his parents, that it was okay to set boundaries and demand respect. The night after Aunt Lucinda's party, as I was tucking Alaric into bed, he said, "Dad, I'm glad you got mad about my birthday." "You are?" I asked, surprised. "Yeah, because now everyone comes to stuff, and Grandma hugs me as much as she hugs the other kids, and Aunt Reverie asks me about school instead of just talking to her own kids." I felt my eyes burn. "I'm glad too, buddy." "But Dad, maybe don't send any more invoices. They were kinda weird." I laughed. "Deal, no more invoices." "Unless they're really mean again," he added seriously. "Then you can send invoices." "Noted," I said, kissing his forehead. "Now sleep, big day tomorrow." "What's tomorrow?" "Grandma's taking you to the movies. Just you, your pick." His face lit up in the darkness. "Really?" "Really?" After he fell asleep, I went downstairs where Solange was finishing paperwork for her job. "I've been thinking," I said. "Dangerous," she teased. "About how close we came to just accepting it, accepting being overlooked and undervalued, teaching Alaric that's normal." "But we didn't," she pointed out. "But we almost did. And I wonder how many families out there are living with that kind of imbalance, thinking it's just how things are." "Probably a lot," Solange said quietly. "We got lucky. My family actually listened. They actually changed. But what about the people whose families don't?" "Then they do what you did," she said. "They set boundaries, they enforce them, they protect their kids and themselves. And if the family doesn't respect that, then the family doesn't get access anymore. That's not cruel, that's self-preservation." I nodded slowly. She was right. The invoices had been ridiculous, over the top, arguably petty. But they'd worked. They'd cut through years of polite resentment and unspoken hurt and forced everyone to confront the actual problem. Would I recommend that approach to everyone? Probably not. But for my family, for that situation, it had been exactly what was needed. A year after the invoice incident, as it's now known in family lore, we hosted Thanksgiving at our house. 22 people crammed into our dining room, spilling over into the living room with folding tables. During dessert, my mother stood up with her wine glass. "I want to make a toast," she announced. "To Cashin for having the courage to tell us we were screwing up, to Solange for supporting him, and to Alaric for forgiving us even though we didn't deserve it." "Hear, hear," everyone cheered. "And," my mother continued, her eyes twinkling, "to family, messy, complicated, occasionally invoice-worthy family." Everyone laughed, even me. Later, as I was loading the dishwasher, Reverie came into the kitchen. "You know," she said, "I actually kept that invoice, the one you sent me." "I know, you framed it." "Not that one, the original email. I printed it out." She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. The invoice was tucked into her planner. "I look at it whenever I start taking family for granted. It reminds me that people have limits, that love isn't infinite if you keep abusing it." "That's surprisingly deep," I said. "I learned from the best," she replied, hugging me. "Thanks for not giving up on us, even when we deserved it." "Thanks for showing up when it mattered," I said. Through the kitchen window, I could see Alaric in the backyard with his cousins, all of them running around with flashlights in the November darkness, their laughter carrying on the cold air. He was happy he was included. He was loved visibly, actively, consistently. That was worth any amount of awkward family confrontations. That was worth every word of those ridiculous invoices. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd send them even faster.